Get ready for the greatest hits of all time.
Kind of a drag when you know she's been untrue. Oh, ho, ho, it's magic, you know.
Oldies 95.9 and 106.9.
Good morning, I'm Earl Stewart. I welcome you to Earl Stewart on Cars, a live talk show all about how to buy, lease, maintain, or repair your car without being ripped off by a car dealer. With me in the studio is Nancy Stewart, my wife, co-host, and a strong consumer advocate, especially for our female listeners. We also have Rick Kearney, an expert on how to keep your car running right. I dare you to ask a question that Rick can't answer about the mechanics or electronics of your car. Also with us is my son, Stu Stewart, our link to cyberspace through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope. Stu is also the Spymaster Director of our Mystery Shopping Report. He dispatches our secret shopper weekly to an unsuspecting South Florida dealership. And now, on with the show. Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back. My name is Earl. I'm a recovering car dealer. I've been in this business since the late 1960s, over half a century. And we're here with a team of automotive experts, as you just heard on the recorded announcement, to tell you how to avoid being ripped off by a car dealer. And ripped off by servicing, repairing, or leasing. Huge amount of leasing going on now. That's another interesting subject because the car dealers are making a lot more money when they lease your car than when they sell your car, but a lot of you didn't know that. If you listen to the show, you probably did know that. And we're going to be talking about just about anything that you want to talk about. That's the key to the show, is your participation. We have a large group of regular callers from all over the country now, because we're on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, we're streaming. And so you can watch us in California or Texas or anywhere you happen to be hanging your hat.
Australia.
What's that?
Australia.
Yeah, Australia. And so we're focusing on what you are interested in. We can't talk about necessarily what we're interested in because, in full disclosure, we are in the retail automobile business. And we look at the world from a different perspective because we're selling and you're buying. But the fact that we are in the retail business gives us an inside lane, so to speak, because we know we've been there and we've done that, and we know how cars are sold, we know how cars are repaired and serviced, and so it gives us that extra added area of expertise. There are a lot of experts out there, but until you've actually done it and lived it, you really don't have that full insider knowledge, and we will share that with you. As I say, I'm a recovering car dealer. We're all recovering in this room here, and we've been in the business a long time. We evolved. We evolved with you, the car buyer, and we happen to hang our hat on the fact that if you take care of your customers, if you're totally honest and transparent, what is the old saying, the better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door. We tried that avenue. It's kind of the road less taken, unfortunately, by car dealers. And people in the retail automobile business are still doing business the way they did mid-20th century. You know, when I say mid-20th century, it doesn't sound that long ago to me, but it's a long time ago. And there's even a groundswell effort now, legislatively and otherwise, to eliminate us car dealers. And that could happen. I mean, it's being talked about. There's an op-ed article, editorial in today's Automotive News. We were talking about it just before the show. And it says, time has come for a grand bargain on direct vehicle sales to customers. And it's written by a man, Dr. Crane, who is a professor of law at the University of Michigan. And it's shocking, if for no other reason, it appears in the Auto Trade Journal. This is every manufacturer in the world, every car dealer in the world reads the Automotive News. I mean, there's an Asian edition, a European edition, and a North American edition. And this is pretty startling. But that's kind of insider stuff in a way, but not if you think about it, because where will you be buying your next car, and what are the reasons for this? It's interesting. So whatever you want to talk about, 877-960-9960, and we do, Nancy?
So that leads me to this question for our listeners.
Okay.
If you could choose to purchase today your next car, who would you choose, manufacturer or a dealer?
Yeah, if you have the right.
Which
and
one
That's a great question. If
you choose?
right now you don't have a right to choice, there is no choice. You have to buy vehicles from car dealers. That's the law in all 50 states. So Nancy just asked this question. If right now you're having, maybe you're thinking about buying a car, a truck, a SUV, and or leasing, if you had the choice, would you rather buy it directly from the manufacturer? If you love Fords and you like F-150 pickup trucks, the most popular vehicle in the world.
We saw a beauty when we came in.
If you had the choice to buy that Ford F-150 pickup, would you buy it from your local Ford dealer, or would you rather buy it from Ford Motor Company? And that's being discussed, by the way, right now. Ford Motor Company, and this is a radical, this was in this op-ed article in the Automotive News, Ford and General Motors have both come out against the dealers for the first time. Ford Motor Company and General Motors are actively pushing legislatively to be able to sell vehicles directly. So if you had your choice, where would you rather buy your next Ford, Chevrolet, Toyota, Honda, from the manufacturer or from the dealer? Let us know.
Yeah.
877-960-9960, 877-960-9960. That's our regular call-in number, and we prioritize voice call-ins, so we only have 3 lines coming in or 4. We ought to be sure we don't people leaving hanging, holding for too long. And we have a text number, 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. So let me switch over to Nancy Stewart. You all know her. She's our ladies champion advocate, and she's brought this show up to parity on female participation. We're 50-50, 17 years it took us to get there, but I congratulate Nancy for doing that.
Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great show ahead of us, and we hope that you can stick around for all 2 hours. And ladies, by now you know that you are in the majority as far as the buying market is concerned, and especially automobiles. So this morning, I have $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. You can give us a call at 877-960-9960. That's 870-960-9960.
877-960-9960.
So give us a call, and I got $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Give us your opinion. Did you do your homework before you went out to purchase a car? Did you purchase the same day? Did you take your time? Anything at all? And also service. You are a big percentage of the service department. There are more ladies coming through the service drive than ever before. $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
And of course, you ladies, you might have a different opinion than the men out there. I'd be interested in a female caller's opinion. Where would you want to buy your next car if you had a choice? Don't have a choice now. You have to buy it from the car dealer. So if you're driving a Hyundai, you have to go to a Hyundai dealer. Would you rather buy it directly from the manufacturer? It's like you buy your iPhone. You buy your iPhone from the Apple Store. You don't have to deal through a dealer. In that case, the Apple Store is owned by the manufacturer, but you're dealing directly with the manufacturer. Most products, I won't say that, but a lot of products give you that choice. Okay, let's move around to my son. Yes, Nancy.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Sure.
John from Palm City is
great.
waiting to speak to us. Good morning, John.
Good morning to everyone. I'm calling today with 2 big thank yous. I want to thank Earl and Nancy and crew for being there every week during this terrible crisis we're having. Today's New York Times, the headlines, there's a new peak in case 79,000 plus cases in a single day. And I want to know, Earl and Nancy and crew have never missed during this entire coronavirus problem, never missed one show. It's unbelievable. And the second thing is the highlight of the show, which is the shopping reports. So very important, and I want to thank them again for that. And I want to talk about last week briefly, just to show you the shopping report that was done right here in Martin County. The dealer that they went to, hopefully the owner was listening, and they shape up and change conditions, because that location at one time was called Toyota or Stewart, and they totally had their franchise revoked. So hopefully the people that own it now, even though they have another dealership somewhere, they will listen and shape the place up, because it's just ridiculous what people have to go through. And my vote would be, if you take an example like that, I would rather deal with the manufacturer than some of these individual dealers. So I just want to mention that, and it's a big thank you again for this show, never being missed during this entire crisis, and the great shopping reports. And this week is going to be a little different. It'll be about the shop, mechanical part of the dealerships. So again, a big thank you for Earl, Nancy, and the entire crew.
I appreciate those kind words, John. Yeah, we love doing this show, and we have had second thoughts, and we worry. We talk about it, and we live in the COVID world with all of you, and we think about it, and we're very careful, and we take precautions. If you can look at us, stream us, we're all wearing masks, and the studio is disinfected before we come in. We have the Purell, we have the disinfectant wipes, and we're taking extra precautions. So we're all tested in this studio periodically. Each of us gets tested, and fortunately, knock on wood, our families and all of us have been COVID-free. And thanks for the compliment, but it has been a little bit stressful for us. We think about it, and thanks for the call, John. You're one of our most loyal guys out there. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, John.
Again,
we certainly
my thank you
appreciate
to
that.
all of you. Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe.
Okay, let's move along to Stu Stewart, my son, general manager of my dealership in North Palm Beach, Florida, and been in the business a long, long time. And he has a hands-on. He's there every day, and he deals with the way business is done every single day. I step back a little bit. I'm more strategic. Stu is more tactical, and so it gives us a complete spectrum of the automotive issue. Stu, I know what you got on your mind about our unusual shopping report.
Very unusual, and it's something that we've been promising to our listeners, that we would do a service department shop. And before I get started, I just wanted to say that it is a lot more difficult to do that sort of shop. A sales mystery shop requires a person to walk into a dealership. A service mystery shop requires a vehicle that can't be detected as belonging to our dealership.
Sure.
And so usually we'll pick a used car. I can't say usually because we've only done it a couple of times in the history of the show. But then you have to make something appear to go wrong with it that's not obvious. So last week I reported what we did was we took a 2018 Jeep Wrangler, and Rick sabotaged it. Nothing safety related, but he unhooked a wire, and I don't want to get into the tech. Rick can address it later when you hear what happened. But he disconnected a wire that would make the check engine light come on, and we're all familiar with that. The check engine light comes on. It's scary. People don't know. Should I stop driving the car? Is the car going to blow up? What's going to happen? And most of you who have experience with this realize that oftentimes it's not a big deal. It just might even be the gas cap that
And it wasn't a hidden wire. It was something that was very visible.
Obvious.
Yeah, Rick just kind of reached in, and he knew what he was doing. He just didn't grab a random wire, but he disconnected a wire, and it caused the check engine light to come on. So we had our older mystery shop extraordinaire, Agent Thunder's wife, bring the vehicle in to, and I'll tell you the name of the dealership now. It was Napleton's Chrysler Dodge Jeep on North Lake Boulevard in Lake Park, Palm Beach Gardens, somewhere in that vicinity. And so here's the shop. Now, we're not doing it in the same format. I'm just going to tell you what happened. So she brought the vehicle in, and what she first encountered was an incredibly busy service department with Jeeps and Chryslers lined up down the service drive. And when she finally spoke to a service advisor, they explained that they were way too busy to see the vehicle, and they told her to bring the car back to where she just bought it, because she told them that she had just purchased the car. She said she's really not comfortable driving with the check engine light. Can you do something now? They said no. They warned her that they had a very high labor rate, and kept trying to get her to bring back to the selling dealer. But what they ended up doing was making an appointment for the following Tuesday. So that was Tuesday of this, just a few days ago. On Tuesday, she brings the vehicle back in. Little snafu occurred. They didn't have a record of an appointment. She kept pushing to get the vehicle seen. So they plugged in it was a diagnostic computer into the port, and they read the code that the check engine light was indicating. And they said it could be something very serious, and they recommended that she leave the vehicle overnight. So she leaves the vehicle with them. The following day, they call her to let her know that the Jeep was ready. When she came back in, they said, no charge to you, it's all under warranty. And so that was a pleasant surprise. But when we inspected the invoice, which explained the work that they did, they diagnosed it as a bad engine computer, right, Rick? Is the PCM?
Yes.
So they replaced a fairly expensive part under warranty, and they charged this to Jeep. This was a severe misdiagnosis. It's not to say that it couldn't happen, and it was also fortunate that this misdiagnosis, the brunt of it was felt by Jeep warranty, and not by the customer. But Rick, I just wanted to ask you, how difficult would it be to have diagnosed the problem that you created?
The plugs that I disconnected were for what's called the oxygen sensor that goes to the exhaust. So it's an emissions related thing. At the very least, it might have made the vehicle use a little more gasoline than normal driving. Certainly not creating any safety issues. We didn't want to put anybody in any danger. However, for a qualified technician who knows their product even a little bit, it would have been a simple thing to pull the code and shine a flashlight down into the area on that engine, and they would have seen those plugs. They were literally 18 inches away from the side of the car, and they're very visible right through having the hood open. And I would have done a visual inspection first, because my first thought is, suppose a rat had chewed on those wires, I want to see what's going on. So you shine a light on those connectors, and you would see they weren't plugged in properly. Reconnect them, clear the code, and test it.
And that would have taken
Problem
care of
solved.
it. Yeah, so there's a fairly detailed explanation of the process that they took. They noticed that there was a problem with the circuit. They sought to verify it. They inspected. Then it says, finally checked for high resistance in circuit and found it to be normal. Upon following flowchart, found issue to be with the PCM, and that's that computer that we talked about. Replaced the PCM and programmed it. So that's how they solved it. Like I said, a misdiagnosis, and that's the charitable view of what happened. It is possible that they knew exactly what was going on, and they were able to sell a very expensive part.
So
Interesting.
if someone had seen the wire, which a qualified mechanic would have seen the wire, and plugged it back in, the amount of time that would have taken would have been how much?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. And the charge to Chrysler?
Unfortunately, when the customer gets a copy of a warranty, it just says no charge, and it says under
Yeah.
warranty. So
Yeah.
we don't have the internal document to find out how many hours that they charged, or the cost of the part that they got for free from.
When you read the description of what they did, what was the description again?
Oh, they replaced it said, well, they checked it. So they went through a series of checks, finding out where this circuit was broken. And they did an inspection that doesn't give the time. And then it says, finally, they followed upon following the flow chart, found the issue to be with the PCM. So they didn't find the issue with a wire that wasn't connected. They found a bad part, is what they said, and
So
then they
replaced
replaced
it.
that.
So,
Correct.
So let me
Stu,
finish my train of thought here. So what would be the approximate charge to Chrysler Jeep Dodge Corporation, Chrysler Corporation, to replace a CPM?
Going by basing this off my experience with Toyota,
The ballpark.
I would say maybe a half hour labor and then the cost of the part, which probably would be anywhere from $800 to $1,200. And if they were allowed to charge additional time for diagnostic, which some companies will allow extra warranty time for diagnostic, others say no, you cannot charge anything extra. You get paid just that amount, that's it.
Well, let's be generous. Let's say that for the 5 minutes to plug the wire in, they charged $1,000 to Chrysler Corporation. You can see the reason that this is a serious situation. So it was either done through incompetence, or I don't like the word used, stupidity.
All right.
But,
Or malfeasance.
yeah, just it was an accident, or it was on purpose. If it was an accident, you accidentally charged Chrysler Corporation at least $1,000 under warranty, which you should not have done.
Right.
And in this case, this is a consumer show, so we're going to focus on the fact that, as far as the consumer is concerned, the car got fixed.
Yeah.
The fact that they charged Chrysler $1,000 for 5 minutes plugging a wire in, I guess, is not your concern, and it's really not our concern. And we don't know if that happened.
I'm sure
either.
they didn't plug
Yes.
the bar. I'm sure they did get the part, and they made, if they're anything like a parts department, can retain about 40% of that as profit. Then they made that was a nice little deal.
Yeah. Nancy?
Thank you. Did you say the car was left overnight?
Yes.
Okay, that's something to
Well,
say.
the reason they
That's
said
quite
that,
a, quite-
they said it was because they were too busy, and so they couldn't honor the appointment
Yeah.
that they made.
I guess the good news is that it was covered under warranty, and it wasn't charged to the customer. But it is definitely an unfortunate mistake. And I do have to say that we talk to consumers every single day, customers every day, about the check engine light. So it is it can be very serious, but unfortunately, this is unfortunate. There's a lot of things that go on in service.
Right. The next step that we have to do, and this is actually Steve on Facebook asked the question, we still have to inspect the Jeep and determine if they did replace the PCM. I suspect that they did, but it is possible, having the most pessimistic take on this, that they didn't. But most likely, I think.
Yeah, well, shame on us for not checking it already, but yeah.
Well, this came, I do apologize, but I have been out for the last couple of days with an issue, so I wasn't able to.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, well, we'll get that information for you next week. We'll let you know if we replace. Maybe somebody could check it out for us right now. Maybe you could ask somebody in the shop to take a. Should be able to tell them just a flash, right? If it was a new central processing unit.
Yeah, I'm handling that right now.
Sounds-
Yeah, that may be difficult to tell because some of
okay.
them are easy accessible under the hood.
Okay.
Others are buried up under the dash.
Okay, I got you.
Before we continue, let's get to Frank. He's been holding for quite some time. He's a regular caller from West Palm Beach.
Yes.
Good morning, Frank.
Good
Hey,
morning.
Frank.
Good morning. I got a question about a half hour ago on the news before your show started. I heard about a case in Texas. The police were chasing a pickup truck that was stolen. They didn't know it was stolen. They chased it because the headlights were flashing. And they said some cars, that's a feature, anti-theft feature. When a car is stolen, the headlights start flashing.
Oh, darn.
Unfortunately, the teenage girls that stole it, one got killed when they crashed, and the other one, serious condition.
Oh.
But anyway, the story about the flashing headlights, have you ever heard of that?
I haven't. Rick, Stu, Nancy, have you heard of it?
This is the urban legend that if you flash your headlights with the power's off.
A theft deterrent.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, Frank says that this is a theft deterrent. The police said if someone steals your car, then the lights will flash.
I've never heard of that.
I've seen lots of aftermarket alarm systems and even factory alarm systems that when the alarm is going off, the lights will flash.
Oh, okay.
So there are different security systems.
But it also usually immobilizes the engine, so.
Well, it
flash-
disables the starter normally.
Right. Okay.
But if you get the vehicle running and disable the sirens for it, then
Maybe
the lights
right.
may still flash as part of that theft deterrent system. So
Interesting.
yes,
Thanks
System.
very much for that information.
Okay, well, anyway, I was wondering if my RAV4 has it, but I guess not.
I
No,
think it's
that's
an aftermarket thing. I believe if you add aftermarket, some
Yeah,
aftermarket theft deterrents do flash the lights
right.
when the siren goes off or horn or whatever it is.
right, right. All right, that's something new that I heard about. And your case you were just talking about the Jeep, that happened to my father back in the 70s with a Cadillac. They just unplugged the cruise control, wanted to charge him $125 to repair it, no guarantee. And he said, no, to heck with it. And then when he went someplace else for service, they asked him, how come your cruise control's disconnected?
Yeah,
So there you go.
yeah.
Anyway,
Things haven't changed in a long time.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Bye.
That phone number is 877-960-9960. And remember earlier, Earl was referring to a article in the Automotive News that a law professor wrote, and he asked a question, and so did I, as to whether where you would purchase your vehicle. If you were to purchase your next car, would it be from a manufacturer or a dealer? What would you choose? Give us a call, 877-960-9960, or you can text us with your answer at 772-497-6530. And don't forget, ladies, $50 for the first two lady callers. Give us a call. Stu?
Yeah, I wanted to bring something up. We talked about it last week. Very surprised you haven't brought it up yet. Last week we talked about Earl's concept to create an army of volunteers across the country to assist car buyers in their area, in their communities, and it's been labeled Earl's Vigilantes. And
Earl's what?
Vigilantes.
Oh, okay.
I said Volantes. I slipped into Italian for a second.
Oh, okay.
If you go to earlsvigilantes.com, you can sign up. If you want to volunteer, that'll generate a message that comes to me, and all I ask you in your application is tell me how you think you can help the consumers in your area. And you would just you have to be willing to list your email address online and your name, and be willing to take some emails. And it's up to you later on if you want to exchange phone numbers to help somebody who is not necessarily equipped to handle a car buying or servicing experience on their own. You can also find this on earloncars.com. We do link to it, and right now it's the website is up. It's still kind of being tweaked, but it's functional, and we have a few volunteers already. So if you go to earlsvigilantes.com or earloncars.com, you can link to that, and please volunteer because we could use your help.
Let me address the word vigilante because actually, and I want to give credit to Jonathan, who's our video control guy. And he came up with the whole idea. Let's get a name for Earl's volunteers. And so we kicked it back and forth, and we came up with the name Vigilante. And here's a Vigilante has a negative spin to it, and certainly there have been some terrible cases of wrongdoing by people that call themselves vigilante. But so I looked it up, and the definition of a vigilante, and there was a time, like so many other things in our country, there was a time and place. And there was a time when vigilantism was a good thing, and vigilantes were born, and the name was established for people that took the law into their own hands because the law ignored situations. In other words, crime, bad things were happening, and the law enforcement agencies were doing nothing. And so vigilantes were born to give stability and peace and safety to the people in their community. So this is the definition of vigilantism, and Earl's Vigilantes are doing this. Why? Because the Attorney General, Ashley Moody, in Florida, is an example, does nothing. The State Office of Consumer Affairs, car dealers themselves refuse to have a self-policing agency. There is no ethics commission. If you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, many other professions, they have internal policing, and they have internal sanctions against people in their profession to avoid having the embarrassment that you have when you are arrested or charged on the outside, police or FBI or attorney generals. Problem is, the police, the FBI, the attorney generals are ignoring what's going on. So, hence, the birth of Earl's Vigilantes. Didn't mean to run on there, but
Pretty
that's okay.
exciting.
It's your show.
Really pretty exciting. And you know, folks, this is proof that you are an important part of the show. We're including you in the show, as I say every single week. Not only your opinion, your information you share with us, but can you imagine Earl's Vigilantes? And this is going to be another exciting part of our show. So stick with us. We'd love to hear from
we
you.
got some volunteers already, don't we, Stu?
We do. We had a couple from last week's show, and they have to be put up on the website. And then a gentleman you were speaking with on Facebook, he volunteered. He's the first one up. He's in Maryland, and his name's Robert. So he's our first official one up there, and the rest will get up there. So please visit earlsvigilantes.com and sign up.
And we're probably going to have
earlsvigilantes.com.
T-shirts and hats. Maybe we're coming up with some sort of form of identification. And if you can think of anything that would be suitable, we will be, once you're screened and approved as a vigilante, then we'll give you your identification, a badge or a hat or a T-shirt.
I can think of something. Ladies, you too can be part of Earl's Vigilantes. You too. So don't forget, take a look. The website again, Stu?
earlsvigilantes.com, and if that's too much of a mouthful, just go to earloncars.com. Right there at the top of the page, there's a link. And by the way, if you need help, you go to the same place. You go to earlsvigilantes.com, and it says Find a Vigilante, and it's listed by state. So you go down, find your state, and you'll find your vigilantes.
And one
There
of
you
the,
go.
I was just thinking that one of the important duties as a vigilante, if you choose to volunteer, is to file the complaint. Because car dealers have been getting away with what they've done for so long, since at least the mid-20th century, and certainly well before that, because they've been getting away with it because of the lack of enforcement. People just don't complain. When I was testifying before the Florida Senate to try to make the dealer fee illegal, I was told by the Florida Automobile Dealers Association attorneys and the Attorney General, well, Mr. Stewart, one of the reasons that we don't take action against dealers is we don't get that many complaints. So people are just, what is they? They're numb from the abuse of the rules and the laws.
You know,
They just don't
complacent.
complain. So we want you vigilantes to file complaints with the Attorney General, file complaints with the County Office of Consumer Affairs, with the Florida Department of Motor Vehicles, or I keep forgetting we're international, with the Department of Motor Vehicles, wherever you may be. And you could go to Earl and Cars and download those forms as well. So vigilantes, if we can have you filing complaints all over the country, we can bring attention to the sad state of affairs.
Yes, can be a big help. We're going to go to Marty, who has been holding. Thank you so much for your patience, Marty. You can see or hear that we're having a great time here, and there's a lot to get involved with. Marty's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
We're well, thank you.
What I want to ask Earl and everybody else, when you see a car ad for a lease, you'll see $99 a month, $129 a month, and obviously when you look at it, you see there's a down payment of $3,000, $5,000. Do you think that it should be a state law or a government law that the down payment is added to the price, so you see the true cost of the lease versus these fictitious prices?
Well, Marty, you're right.
Ridiculous.
You're absolutely right. There happens to be a federal law. It's a law from the Federal Trade Commission, and I can't cite you the page and statute exactly, but I almost know it verbatim. The law says that when you advertise a price, you must, any disqualifications of that price, anything that changes that price must be displayed as prominently and conspicuously as the price itself. So you said a $99 or $129 a month lease. If you're advertising that online, the newspaper, television, and the letters of that, as you look at it, let's say they're 2 inches high, $129 a month. Let's say the down payment is $10,000. Well, what's happening right now is they're putting it in fine print, if at all, in the fine print.
Right.
The flash on the screen so quickly and so small you can't read it. The Federal Trade Commission says that $10,000 down payment has to be right beside the $129 per month lease, and it has to be as big print, as dark print as the other. That is a federal law, and it's being violated every day. And that's one of the reasons, another reason we're forming Earl's Vigilantes, to complain to the Federal Trade Commission.
Yeah, another thing, Marty, we've discovered on the last several mystery shops we've done, not only is the giant down payment hidden, buried deep down in fine print that's almost impossible to read, it's the payment appears next to a statement that says no money down. So it's not just a disqualifying detail in the fine print. It's the ad is they're blatantly deceptive.
Yeah, it's a science. They even make the color of the disclaimer. Not only is it microscopic, but they will have something like red on blue, which apparently they've done some scientific testing. The most difficult color combination to read is red on blue. They've got it down to a science, and it's illegal.
Right, and some of the ads are actually the manufacturer's ads. Some
Yes.
of the national ads.
Exactly.
Also, you can't tell what it is. Now, I happen to be, I consider myself a good consumer, so I never take their ad as being what the price is until you check everything out.
Yes.
But a lot of people think, I mean, I had a friend of mine once that said to me, oh, we got a great deal on a Hyundai. And then he tells me the rest of the story. He said, well, that was only with $5,000 down. So I said, well, you better divide the 5,000 by 36, and now you know what you're really paying. So he said, oh, you got to do that? I said, yeah. I said, you have to pay, what you have to pay. I got to ask you one other question.
Yeah.
This is going back years and years ago. We bought an Oldsmobile, which we finally got rid of, but this is years ago. And my wife couldn't see very well out of it. It had bucket seats. These were the first car we had with bucket seats. And the dealer also had a car that had a bench seat in the front. Those are the days of a bench seat. So I went back to the dealer and said, I had the car for a week. I said to the dealer, listen, we've had this car for a week. We put on 100 miles, and my wife can't see very good, and she's afraid she's going to have an accident. I said, you got a bench seat. Can I just, trade it back into you? There's only, like I said, 100 miles on the car. The guy said, oh, well, we titled the car already, so now it's a used car, and I had to pay, I think it was $800 to trade it after a week.
Yeah.
The car only stickered for $4,200 or something in those days.
Sure.
So I said, well, okay. About a week or 2 weeks later, I see I never got the title in the mail. This was in New York State.
Uh-huh.
So I figured the dealer lied to me.
Sure.
He really never titled the car. Usually you don't title it that fast.
Exactly. Yeah, the titling
So anyways, I went to small claims court, and that's the story I told the judge. Well, I lost the case because the judge said, well, you made the deal, and they said, and it doesn't make any difference if he titled or he didn't. But I really think that obviously this dealership made $800 on me. I never bought another car from there again.
Sure.
But, the consumers have been taken for a ride in a lot of these car deals.
Absolutely. No, that's common practice, and you're right. The titling, unfortunately, takes too long. And when you buy a car, the title process can take weeks or even months. We sell a lot of vehicles. If we sell a car that we put a temporary tag on it, and oftentimes we have customers complaining because the titling isn't done in a reasonable amount of time. So you buy a car and come back 3 or 4 days later and change your mind. The processing has not happened. They could stop it. They could refund your money. They would have to sell the car for a little bit less. They should report to the next buyer that this car was sold to a man that didn't like bucket seats, and we changed it for a bench seat. It's only got 100 miles. It's a real value. You can buy it for less than you charge for a new car, but not $800, not a ridiculous amount. So it's the mentality and the ethics of car dealers. They don't exist.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, this guy went out of business.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's another one right behind him.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Marty. You stay safe and be well.
Thanks for the call, Marty. Give us a call. You're a very important part of the show. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, ladies, $50 for the first 2 new lady callers.
Yeah, Rick's got a YouTube over here. Well, let's get to some of the questions.
Well, it's interesting because I've actually got 4 of them based on your question about where would you buy your car.
Oh, great.
Mark Ryan says, although purchasing directly through the manufacturer would save money, what about the service element? I'd prefer the dealership for all of the after-sale support. Wayne says, if I knew I was getting a flat price, same as everyone else, I would be good dealing with the manufacturer. Guy Larrabee says, I would like to buy my car from Amazon. Good price, no flim-flam, good service, easy return policy, home delivery. Who could ask for more? And Kit Kat comes in with, how would you test drive a car from the manufacturer before buying? So basically just 2 questions there is, how would you test drive it? And what about servicing the car afterwards? Where, if there were no dealerships, where would you service your vehicles?
Well, let me go back up a little bit as far as the servicing and the test driving. Those questions are very, very revealing because they were well thought out, and those are 2 things that would have to be addressed. Tesla has already addressed that as an example, and Tesla has locations all over the country where you can test drive a car. In some states they cannot sell direct, but in many states they can, and those states where they cannot, you can still test drive the car, and of course you can have your car maintained and repaired. So that's something that the manufacturer would have to deal with, setting up satellite locations all over the country to take care of those people that would buy the cars from us. So yeah, that's something that has to be addressed. Now bear in mind, part of this whole discussion about buying direct from the manufacturer evolved with the electric car. Now the electric car is a whole new ballgame. The combustion engine requires far more maintenance than an electric vehicle. And some say an electric vehicle really requires no maintenance. Well, there's no such thing as no maintenance, but it's so minimal compared to a combustion engine. The size of the dealership servicing would be much smaller. A lot of it would be done by computer, by flashing, and even in the customer's garage. A lot of software fixes would be possible. And the car of the future, which is not too far in the future, just a few years. So maintenance and repair is not such an issue, but driving the car is, and it's easy to have satellite locations where one of each model is available for a test drive. So that's the way that. But I'm impressed. If I'm counting so far, everybody has said, given some caveats about service and test drive, I'd rather buy directly from the manufacturer. You had 4 of those, right?
That's all 4, basically. That's what I'm seeing.
And I think we had somebody else that was maybe 5. Stu, what do you have over there? Any answers?
Let's see here. Well, we had a couple on Facebook said we would rather buy from you, Earl. They're very sweet. Here's another one. This is another compliment on anonymous feedback to you. It just popped in, but it does address an issue. It says, I couldn't imagine getting better service from Toyota than what you provide with your personal touch. I can imagine car manufacturers sticking to a rigid set of policies that will hurt consumers who rely on dealers like you. Of course, I realize there aren't many dealers like you.
You know, one thing this question, now that it's reaching the heights it has, not being understanding car dealers, the fact that Ford and General Motors have come out in favor of direct sales, that is huge. Most of the other manufacturers are remaining silent, but I know it's in the backs of the minds of many of the manufacturers. So this thing is going to catch fire, and it's going to move quickly, and it's going to be a huge watershed moment in the automobile retail. Dealers have millions and tens of millions of dollars invested in buildings and facilities, and there's a huge economic impact on the economy by the fact that it's moving in this direction.
Very good point. We are going to go to Guy, who's been holding, and he's calling us from Ottawa, Canada.
Wow.
Good morning.
Good morning, Earl.
Welcome.
I have to say that I thoroughly enjoy your show. I watch it every Saturday morning.
Oh, thank you.
We have something today that will warm your heart. In Ontario, a car dealer has been charged $17,000 this week for false advertising.
Oh,
there was
wow.
a dealer in Windsor, Ontario, which is the hub of auto manufacturing in Ontario, who was advertising Dodge Rams at a very low price. However, when people went in, they said, well, you can't have it at that price because that's for employees only. So the consumer branch did an investigation and found him guilty of false advertising and fined him $17,000. Now, this is the third offense for this dealer, Windsor Chrysler, and the first time they were charged $4,000 fine. Wasn't enough to change their ways. The second time they were charged $8,000 fine, still wasn't enough to change their ways. Now they charge them $17,000, and the next time will be $35,000 until they change their ways. So this is the type of thing that I guess you would like to have in Florida.
Yes.
Just like your comments on that.
Well, Guy, you're right. It brings a big smile on my face, although you can't see it.
I love
behind my
Canada.
mask.
Canada's great.
And it's nice to see that in Ottawa that they have the courage to enforce the law. And usually the lobbyists from the auto associations and from the dealers themselves and from the manufacturers, the lobbying, and they support through PACs. People get elected like attorney generals. I'm not familiar with the consumer enforcement groups in Canada, but it's nice to see that someone can stand up against the money, follow the money. That's the reason you don't see it in the United States. There is so much money. The Attorney General of Florida is elected with support from the Florida Automobile Dealers Association and from the manufacturers and from the individual dealers. An Attorney General in Florida, if they had the auto lobby against them, could never get elected. So that's the reason a lot of silence on the part of those. So congratulations. You should be proud of being a Canadian, and I'm proud of your enforcement agencies. And I hope you can call the show again when the $35,000 fine comes.
Okay, I'll do that for sure.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
Guy.
Great call. Thank you, Guy. Amazing. Okay, I hope Ashley Moody was listening. That's our Attorney General. You think you can do something about all this deception by all these dealers? Give her a call, folks. She is at 850-414-3300. Ashley Moody, our Attorney General, who should be helping us. Back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, let's. We don't have YouTube over here.
I've actually got a couple.
Yeah.
First one, Robert Prophet is asking, how can a person tell if a car has safety sensors built inside the windshield? I understand that some windshields will cost way higher to replace and install. And that's actually very true because first off, we started with windshields that just had a rain sensor that could automatically turn on your windshield wipers.
Right.
But now you've got such systems as the heads-up display,
Oh yeah.
the
And that's
cameras.
That's in the windshield.
Well, there's actually a special sheet on the windshield that reflects the transmission. It's a little projector that transmits that onto the
So
windshield.
if you broke your windshield, you wouldn't have to do anything other than put that sheet back on there.
Well, the new windshield would come with it, but
Oh.
it does increase the cost of the windshield.
Of course, yeah.
However, such systems as the cameras for the automatic braking and lane keep assist, lane departure assist, the ones that are watching out the front of the car and helping drive your car for you, when you replace the windshield, a lot of those cameras must be recalibrated properly. And we have found also that if the windshield installed is an aftermarket windshield, quite often those cameras cannot see through it properly because the glass is not designed right. And we've actually had customers that have had to go back and have a new windshield installed again to get a factory windshield in order to recalibrate those cameras properly.
That's a heads up, folks. What Rich just said, if you have an accident, when you replace your windshield, be sure your insurance company gives you an up to specification windshield that will accommodate your, with the proximity kind of a.
Exactly. The for the automatic braking systems, for lane keep assist.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to tell if your car has any of these systems, of course, is read through what features your car has, but also look up next to your rear view mirror, and if you have any sort of a camera or other device up there that you can see from the outside, then you've got those sensors.
Very good.
And it'll have to be specially installed that way.
Great question. Thank you, Rick.
There's a follow-up question somebody just texted. It says, if you replace your windshield using a company like SafeLight, SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace?
Yep.
Will they replace the windshield with the proper windshield like Rick talked about?
The well-known companies, yes, they are very well aware of these new systems, and they watch for them and make sure they get them done properly. And they will also recommend for you, if you have an issue with those cameras, they'll tell you'll need to go to the dealership to get that recalibrated properly.
What about some of those local windshield companies? I know there's several in our area. We use some in our collision repair center. They come in as a sublet thing.
Yep.
They're equipped to do the proper replacement and repair?
Yes, they are.
Okay, great.
Okay, we are going to give you that number and the text number. As I said earlier, you're an important part of the show. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, ladies, $50. First 2 new lady callers.
And we've got one more here, actually, if I can just slip it in. Paul is asking, I'm looking to buy a Camry XLE. At the dealership I'm looking at, they're offering 0% financing. Is this a ploy, or are there special qualifications you have to meet?
It's probably legitimate because the manufacturer has a lot of zero and low interest rate. So if it's a Toyota captive, in other words, Toyota Financial Corporation or Southeast Toyota Financial Corporation, the 0% is legitimate. And you also have an either or, probably, that you can take a cash rebate. I don't know what it is. It could be $1,000 cash rebate or 0%, in which case you just have to do the arithmetic.
There are qualifications, but they're not prohibitive. The 0% is usually for the better credit, not necessarily like stellar 800 beacon score credit, but
700.
Yeah, so it could be 700, even maybe in the high sixes, and then it'll go for worse credit. It might go down to 0.9% or go up to 0.9%. So, but it is legitimate. 0% when you see that it's for real.
Awesome.
Let me mention one thing that I didn't earlier. www.youranonymousfeedback.com. Take advantage of it. www.youranonymousfeedback.com.
If you're new to the show, we don't know who you are. That goes through a special company called Incognito. If you're interested, you can Google it. Incognito, spelled INCOGNEATO.com. And they offer this amazing service that you can buy into if you're a company or an individual or anybody, and people can just send to you a message, and you'll never, no matter how much you try to beat it out of anybody, they never know who sent the message. So you want anonymity? YourAnonymousFeedback.com. www.YourAnonymousFeedback.com.
And here's some breaking news. I believe that Jessica from Sebring is going to join Earl's Vigilantes.
Wow.
She will be the first female.
I am getting applications. They're coming in as we're doing the show, so that's awesome.
Fantastic. And then we'll come up with we need a good logo, Stu. Something with Stu's the artistic member of the family. Come up with something cool and in good taste, and something people would be proud of. What do vigilantes wear? Masks, but I don't think we want
I'll
people.
have fun with it. I promise you'll love it.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Okay, we have a text message from Andreas in South Carolina. It says, "Good morning, Earl. I'd like to report that my wife's peeling wheels were replaced by the dealer without hesitation and question. The service manager to whom I reported the issue tasked a very nice service writer to handle the issue, and it was a very pleasant experience. New wheels were ordered and installed. Kudos to Dick Smith Hyundai in Greenville, South Carolina, and Brittany in the service department. I'd also like to share that I'm afraid for another dealer's life here in South Carolina. I saw that a dealer posted a sign, now open Sundays. I think this is viewed as sacrilegious, as I've heard stories of dealers' businesses being vandalized by other dealers in the past for being open on Sundays. Some supposedly received threats against their lives. Putting the blue laws aside for a moment, if Florida has those, would you entertain the idea of being open on Sundays? Would other dealers be upset?" Well, we got news for you. Every dealer down here is open on Sunday, but that wasn't always the case. And Earl can tell you about what that transition was like. Were you ever threatened by another dealer for? Because I think you were among the first.
I was threatened by my employees. But yeah, I was the first dealer in Florida to open on Sundays. Even back when I was evil, I had the understanding that if you're going to be successful in retail, you have to make yourself easily accessible to your customers. I mean, I think of that as a no-brainer, but it took car dealers a long time to figure it out. In Detroit, it was really interesting. I don't slap me if I get carried away here, but believe it or not, if you're from Detroit area, Michigan, in Detroit, the dealers used to be open 9 to 5, 5 days a week. They were closed Saturdays and Sundays, and I could never fathom that. I had a lot of friends that were dealers in Detroit. Anyway, yes, I opened first and Sunday back in the 70s, and service was closed. I opened service, and now we're totally free and open to our customers. My employees didn't like it, and I don't blame them. Retail is a tough business. If you're going to be in retail, you have to be open. You have to be available to your customers. And who likes to work Sunday? I don't. Nobody likes to work Sunday, but we work shifts, and we work. If you work Sunday, you get Tuesday off, and it's tough on the families. Retail is a tough business. So
it definitely is, and you know, I got a telephone call from a young lady in Colorado, and she had just made the transition from Florida to Colorado because of a job, and she said to me, "Can you believe that I can't get my car serviced on Sunday?" And I said, "Oh, you're kidding. I did not know that." So the customer comes first, obviously. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And Frank, thank you for waiting. Frank's calling us from Jupiter Farms.
Well, good morning, Earl and Nancy.
Hello, Vigilante.
Oh, yes. There you go. Thank you. I hope I get number 7. That way I feel like James Bond, 007.
Ooh, numbers. That's a great idea.
Yeah, think about that. There you go. As always, your show triggers so many different emotions that I experienced either back in my past or recently. First off, with the dealership that charged the Jeep and Chrysler for a part they didn't need, I feel is like robbery. And yes, it was under warranty, and yes, the consumer didn't pay for it, but ultimately we will, because they're going to be passing on those costs to us in future models.
Yep.
True.
So that's the way of looking at that. It was actually happened to me when I purchased a certified used Mercedes-Benz up in Melbourne. They said, "Oh yeah, look, you need this, you need that," and they put in all these things that for wood trims and stuff that was fading that didn't look bad at all. And it turned out to be over $1,000 they charged Mercedes-Benz for these parts, and I was a little disturbed by that. I mean, that was 5 years ago. But anyway, so the long thing is we will eventually all pay for it.
Right.
Now, on another note, yesterday Anne-Marie and I were out looking at different cars, and we went by Audi just to see what that was all about, because she was to eventually replace her Lexus 2008 RX 350 she's had since new. And you guys have serviced it, and the car looks great. And I think Randy thinks she should never get rid of it, but that's Randy. Anyway, an interesting point at the Audi dealership in Palm Beach on Okeechobee, they have a box of masks. When you come through the door, if you need a mask, they have masks. So I thought that would be interesting for your mask wearers. And we also saw that the other day when we went in Best Buy. They have a box of masks right by the door. So if you don't have a mask, a lot of these places are providing masks for you all.
Yeah, we do that, Frank. We don't have a box by the front door because we're concerned about them disappearing quickly. But anybody, that's the policy. If anybody is not wearing a mask, we open the conversation by offering them a mask, and that's I think a little softer approach than, hey, put your mask on.
Yeah, no, that's actually very nice. And then afterwards, we would stop by the Mercedes dealership on Okeechobee, and I guess they're in their big renovation. I mean, they're working out of a trailer, and you have a porta potty to stay in. I mean, it's really quite a unique experience to say the least. But there was a young gentleman there by the name of Ryan, who looked very young, but had a very good attitude, and he's been around Mercedes both in college and after college, and he was very, very knowledgeable. We were speaking about cars, and you could tell that he knew the cars. And the ironic thing, when I asked him, I said, "Where do you drive?" He has like a 1989 Toyota. He says, "I'm around all these fancy cars. I want something good and reliable that I can enjoy and work on myself." So I thought that was kind of unique too. And he didn't hear about you guys yet, but the manager, of course, knows you. Like I said, when we mention Earl's name in a car dealership, it's like a lightning rod. It's just I enjoy seeing their reactions. But anyway, yeah, it was an interesting day, and I look forward to seeing how this works out. And then of course it's good to have spell check for when you spell vigilantes because it took me about 4 tries.
I'm glad I had that when I did the website.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, yeah, thank you again, guys. There was something else I was going to talk about, and that's okay. I'm getting old and senile, so.
Text me if you remember. Just send me a text. I'll read it out loud.
Okay, thanks so much. You guys have a good weekend. Appreciate you being there.
Great hearing from you, Frank.
You know, one of the things that Frank mentioned about the warranty going on, costing you more in the long run, even though, was it Hyundai or Chrysler paid for this, and the customer didn't have to pay for it. Because there is so much warranty fraud, and we're presuming it's fraud, it could have been incompetence, but because the manufacturers are afraid of their dealers, and the manufacturers audit dealers all the time. I just read the other day that Nissan is doing a massive audit of all their dealers. They're increasing the frequency of the audits, just like the IRS come in audit for taxes. Car manufacturers go into dealers all the time, and they do surprise audits. They walk in the door, say, "Hi, I'm from Honda, and I want to see all your books." And they go through there, and they find out there's been warranty fraud or warranty stupidity, or whatever you want to call it, and they say, "Now you owe us $185,000. And when dealers call in warranty claims, if a dealer has a history of cheating or submitting claims that are not valid, then they are less likely to approve a claim. So we have a lot of situations where a dealer will turn down a warranty repair, and the customer will come into us and we get it approved, mainly because we are strictly honest and transparent about what we do under warranty. And we don't get audited by the manufacturer because we're trusted and our warranty claims are in line. So get mad about this thing that happened at Hyundai, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, because that is one of the reasons that you people that have the Jeep that go in there, they say, "I'm sorry, we can't help you. We can't submit that warranty claim because we can't get it approved." Where it really affects a lot of buyers practically is a manufacturer will stretch and they'll go a few months or a few thousand miles out of warranty and fix something and call it goodwill, which is accepted if the dealer has a reputation for being honest with the manufacturer. But when the dealer's been cheating the manufacturer, they are very rigid, and if you're just a few hundred miles out, they say, "No dice, no deal. We don't believe that you're telling me the truth about the odometer or about whatever else the claim is about." So there.
There you go.
Okay, let's do some text.
I think that Rick's
Just-
got something for us.
Just a thought on that. isn't it true that eventually that computer, that small drop in the bucket, eventually that's going to wind up being paid for by the people that buy the next Jeeps in line, because Jeep is eventually going to have to raise their price on the Jeep a little bit in order to cover any of those
Frank mentioned that. He's
messed up things.
That's very true. Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you, this Earl's Vigilantes is a very interesting concept, and if you consider yourself an educated consumer, and there sure are a lot of them out there, and experienced in purchasing a car, we all are, you can really help us out, and you can join Earl's Vigilantes, and it's easy to do. Just go to earlsvigilantes.com.
We have a text from Anne Marie.
Ah.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I was waiting. Sometimes she gets in early. Sometimes she comes in mid-show, but she's always there.
I already talked to Anne Marie on the Sunrise.
Yeah,
so
I was just
Okay.
I was going to say, you know, she was up early this morning. She may have had to have taken a little nap.
Or she drank a lot of coffee. My observation for today is about buying a car from the manufacturer. Volvo has a European vacation program. I understand that the way it works is that you go to your local Volvo dealer, design your custom Volvo, place your order, and confirm your order with a $3,000 deposit. The program includes discounts from MSRP, round-trip airfare, including lounge privileges, hotel, tour of the plant, and then you pick up your customized car complete with temporary European insurance and registration. You drive it around, then they ship it back to your local dealer. The Volvo plan blends buying the car through the dealer and picking it up at the factory. That sounds like a fabulous vacation for those who can afford it. It would be very tempting if I wanted to buy a Volvo. Direct sales is quite appealing because it sounds like you avoid the excess bogus fees and hassles that most dealers dish out to their customers. Perhaps competition from manufacturers would help clean up the worst offenses that dealers inflict on their customers. Ideally, I'd like to see a domestic program where a customer could go to a dealer, design their car, put in an order knowing that the manufacturer has special pricing and the dealer can't add extra bogus fees, then travel up to the manufacturer and pick up the vehicle. It would be a two for vacation and a new vehicle included. Thanks, Anne Marie.
Brilliant, as always, Anne Marie. And they, other than Volvo, I think Mercedes, a number of the European manufacturers have the program where you can fly to Europe, pick your car up, and have it shipped back. And that's kind of cool if you can afford it. As far as having your car built to spec, that's just a few years away. They can almost do it today. When we get into electric cars, it'll be SOP, and you'll just have, Tesla does it right now. Tesla has one of each in their satellite service and display areas. You go into a Tesla dealership, all the cars they make are there, and then you walk over to the computer and you order the color you want online. You can't buy, in Florida, you can't buy the one on the showroom floor. In other states you can, but not in Florida. And then you have to wait and you take delivery. The turnaround time in electric cars is going to be very quick because it's going to be all software.
They need to get away from, I think one of the reasons why it's difficult to custom build a car now is the immense number of different models, trim levels, equipment packages.
Too many parts.
It's just too many things to put together. It needs to be, that's the reason Tesla is simplified. There's not a whole lot of options. And I understand that's probably why, since it's all standard, why they're expensive vehicles. But they need to figure that part out, because if they just simplify, you have 3 trim levels, a couple of options, then ordering a car to spec would be pretty simple.
Great points, Stu. Really, simplicity. Folks, give us a call at 877-960-9960, or you can take advantage of the text number 772-497-6530. And we are now going to go out to the Bronx and talk to Howard. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Next Friday, I'm leaving for Jupiter, so I'll be seeing you in the dealership.
Great.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah. So the weather here is pleasant, but you know it's going to turn. And
Yes.
I don't want to be here when it's cold. Believe me.
Not for the turn.
Okay. Here's my question. I want to know exactly what is covered on the drivetrain, and one specific item is the axle boot. Front axle boot covered on the drivetrain warranty.
Okay, I'll let Rick answer that. I'm going to give you a rule of thumb because I'm I'm a rule of thumb guy. And a rule of thumb is the powertrain warranty covers all the parts on your vehicle that are lubricated with the oil. You got oil, if it lubricates it, it's covered by the powertrain warranty. Now I'll get the detailed answer from Rick.
Axle boots are covered under the Toyota 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty. And interestingly enough, the wheel bearings for the drive wheels are covered as well under 5 years, 60,000 miles. So if your vehicle is a front wheel drive, then the front wheel bearings are 560, the rear wheel bearings are 336. If it's a rear wheel drive, it's opposite of that. And if it's all wheel drive, they're all covered, 5 years, 60,000.
What Toyota has a rear wheel drive? I don't believe
Tacoma,
any does.
Tundra, 4Runner, Sequoia,
Supra.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
all our trucks and the big SUVs, and of course all of our all-wheel drive vehicles.
So why did they go to front-wheel drive to begin with? Why not stick with rear-wheel drive?
Stability.
What is the advantage of the front-wheel drive?
Cost, probably. It's a matter of how much can
Those
you charge
parts.
the customer, yeah.
And also stability.
Yeah, plus front-wheel drive actually is a much more stable vehicle in the snow and in the rain. And I can tell you from my own experience with my truck, when the roads get wet and I go to take off from a traffic light and the tires hit those painted white lines on the road, those tires slip very easily.
Yeah,
Front-wheel drive cars, not so much.
I haven't lost control of my car since high school.
Well,
Very good.
I know in my old Pontiac, I had a rear-wheel drive. I never had any service done on it. It was like the rear-wheel drive was no problem as far as the axle is concerned. So
Well, you had the only Pontiac that didn't require service, because I was a Pontiac dealer, and we made a fortune in the service department.
I remember that when you were a Pontiac. I'm older than you, so I know a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Well, one other question, a fast one. The Mirai is in California.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that it would be come to Florida?
No, the Toyota, it's more like an experiment. It was only in California, and it's a pretty cool car. I actually got to drive one once when I went out to a meeting, and really neat concept. That was actually Toyota initially. That was their first foray into all electric car, and it was the hydrogen fuel cell. And they've abandoned that pretty much. There's still Mirais, but they're abandoned going to the battery power electric, more like Tesla. But it's a pretty cool car. Clean, pure water dripped out of the tailpipe. That was the only byproduct.
One of the biggest issues with a hydrogen-driven car like that is the infrastructure does not exist in the United States for refueling it. I mean, people
Only
talk
in
about...
California it does. I believe
Right.
it does in California.
There are limited places in California, but we talk about electric cars and where are you going to recharge your electric car? Well, now there's places everywhere to recharge an electric car, but where are you going to buy hydrogen?
Right. No interest. Right. Exactly. That's the problem. Okay, but the hydrogen is the cleanest, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you from Jupiter next week.
Yeah, how about,
Okay.
how about a Bronx cheer before you leave?
Okay, you got it. Okay, bye.
thank you, Howard. I'm sure you're looking forward to the weather. You know, Rick, one of my horrible experiences as far as losing control of your car was back in Pittsburgh, and we had a horrific snowstorm. And I was in my car, and I came down, lost control of my car, and I came down the hill backwards.
I had a similar experience.
And that was shocking. I had my mother in the car with me, which was even worse, because I think she beat me over the head. I'm not sure, something like that. But I did get control of the car quite quickly, and at that point I became a seasoned driver.
There you go.
Just a little walk down memory lane, folks. Especially the ladies. I got $50 for you. We're running out of time. 2 new lady callers. $50. Give me a call. 877-960-9960. Call to say hello. You want to text us? 772-497-6530. And don't forget to sign up for Earl's Vigilantes and also I know I'm giving you a lot of information. www.youranonymousfeedback.com.
Okay, Rick, YouTube.
We do. E.C. Olson is saying, I park my car outside all the time, and I make sure it's waxed a lot, but the clear coat on my 2014 Kia Soul is bad on the hood and roof. I'll have to take it to a body shop in Port St. Lucie to get it fixed.
Interesting. Toyota had a severe clear coat problem. In fact, they had no clear coat. That's a real problem on the white cars. You might try you might check with Kia, maybe go to a chat room, maybe go online, see if there are other people with the Kia issue on that model that have the paint problem. And you might even be able to get some assistance from Kia. We don't know. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. You go to a dealership and you say, can you check and give me some help? I'm painting this car. Your warranty's probably only 3 years, 36,000 miles on the paint, and you're probably well out of warranty, but if there's an acknowledged problem, then they might even have some sort of a secret warranty, some sort of a recall or a Toyota, a service bulletin that would fix it for you, would give you some assistance.
And one of the things that I've noticed, I look at cars a lot as I'm driving down the road, and it seems here in Florida we have a real issue with clear coat delamination, and I'm guessing it's got to be the sun and the UV radiation.
They call it the Sun Belt. They got Arizona, California, Florida, and any place where you got a lot of sun, especially salt. Just a very, very negative environment for an automobile, and we have. So that's the reason if you're a Floridian, you just can't fight the fact that you're going to have problems. Rust is a thing of the past in many states of the Union, but in Florida, if you live on the coast, your car's going to rust. I don't care what they do to it. Your car's going to rust internally, really, and you don't even see it till it's too late.
Yeah.
And the brakes, one of the big ones.
That's
You live near
internal,
the ocean.
Boy, the elements really play havoc, don't they?
Yep.
But we certainly enjoy the sun all year round. I know I do, being from Pittsburgh. Ladies and gentlemen, 877-960-9960. You're an important part of the show. We'd love to hear from you. And the text is 772-497-6530. And we're going to go to Bobby, who's waiting. He is from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning. Nice to speak to you.
Welcome.
I have a number of things I'd like to get to. You were talking about the manufacturers being cheated by the dealers on warranty issues. I would say that is sauce for the goose, as they say, because if they think that the dealers who cheat their customers aren't going to cheat the manufacturer, then they're sorely mistaken.
Bingo.
The manufacturers could do something about it if they wanted to. They could say, don't go to Earl Stewart for warranty work because we've found that they're not honest about it. But they won't do that.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
They can end that if they wanted to, but they'll do it internally and not let the customer know. And by the way, you were talking about buying directly from the manufacturers. We know that they're not in the customer's best interest either, as evidenced by, remember when I think Toyota cracked down on the dealers advertising better prices than, was it, I mean, they're not looking out for the customer. So I wouldn't think they would suddenly start looking out for the customer. So that was the second thing. The third thing I wanted to talk about was shop fees in service. People need to notice, and I noticed on your advertisements, Mr. Stewart, you don't charge shop fees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Well, it's about 10% at the dealers now, and that adds up quite quickly.
You're right.
On routine maintenance. And people need to pay attention. I don't know what they can do about it except look for people who don't charge it.
Yeah, Bobby,
they won't take it off.
A lot of people don't. I'm glad you brought that up because there are a lot of people don't even know they're paying it. We pay a lot of attention to hidden fees, and we call them dealer fees, and we talk about thousands of dollars. We don't talk about the service hidden fee, which is at the bottom of the invoice, and they name it something. that sounds official. They'll call it hazardous waste disposal, sundry supplies, miscellaneous, anything you can imagine. They call it that. And as you say, it's a percentage of the invoice. It could be 5%, 10%. And you bring your car in a lot more for service than you do when you buy a car. So you're paying that hidden fee in your service department. Every dealer I know charges it. I don't know a service department, by dealership or independent, they all charge it. It's bogus, it's not fair, and it should be against the law. The only people that stand up against that is the American Automobile Association, and if you're an approved by the American Automobile Association dealer for service, the requirement, I'm not saying that they check it as much as they should, but the requirement of the AAA is you cannot charge an extra fee on your service invoice. You just charge for what you did, and you can't add anything else. And I'm glad you brought that up. We don't talk about it as often as we should, but it's probably averages $25 on the average service bill, which is terrible.
You're right.
Yeah.
Would you say most dealers are part of the American Automobile Dealer?
No.
Whatever you.
Most
are, most.
Yeah, the American Automobile Association only has a few dealers. If you have in Palm Beach County, they might have 6 or 8, and they're not all dealers. Some of them are independents, but that's the rule. And the AAA, they don't enforce it the way they should, and I don't blame them. It's expensive to have to shop and mystery shop and enforce. By the way, we should start doing that, Stu. If we're going to be doing more mystery shops and service departments, we need to start measuring the miscellaneous sundry supply fee that is at the bottom of the invoice. By the way, as a tip, I don't want to use up your time, Bobby, but as a tip, if you're paying your invoice in a car dealership or independent garage, and you look at the bottom, you'll find it'll be nuts, bolts, fasteners, miscellaneous sundry supplies, hazardous waste disposal. It'll be something you don't understand because you didn't have it done. If you question the cashier, and if you make a point of saying, listen, that's not fair, I didn't come in here to buy that, and I'm not going to pay it, they usually instruct the cashiers to take it off the bill. And you'd be surprised if you object, more than half the time they'll take it off.
That's interesting. I will give that a try.
Yeah.
Now, I want to call you in on the carpet for something. You say you like complaints, and I got a complaint for you.
Okay.
And I don't give you an F because you do advertise that you don't charge service fees, which I think is good.
Okay.
But your service specials are still advertised mostly as 12% off, 15% off, a 30,000-mile checkup, 12% off, oil change, 15% off. I think those are ripe for
manipulation.
being wrong.
Yeah. I hear you.
I think you need to I think you need to advertise what price you're selling a 4-cylinder synthetic oil change for, whatever that may be.
I do got to interject, and maybe it's not as clear. We do list all the major service pricings on the website. And I think we should
talking about the coupons.
I understand. Yeah. We need to put that price on the coupons because it's on a different section. So there's a list of service pricing, and that percentage off comes off those prices.
I believe we use a service, Bobby, that Toyota provides, and we're limited as to how we can customize these. It's a template. We plug it in. And there are other things on our coupons I don't like either. They have certain
disclaimer stuff.
Yeah, consumer disclosure. We don't like fine print. But your point is well taken. We will certainly look into it and make a change if we can.
I was going to, if I have another minute, I was going to ask you about how much Toyota controls those coupons because it's oddly different. Every dealer in the area is sort of different. Sort of specifically different.
Yeah.
You know, each one does it a different way.
They allow the dealers to choose. They allow the dealers
Yeah.
to choose the amount of the discount, but like Earl said, there is like a template that's offered, and like somehow the fine print that's in there can't be changed. But I think you gave me a good idea, though. I think if we can't change the coupons, certainly on the page where the coupons are, we can have it link back to the pricing page, so it's easier to find what that 12% is being taken off.
The reason we use Toyota to use this and don't do it ourselves, I'd much prefer to do it ourselves. Toyota has a database. They have the list of all customers that have come into our service department, how long it's been since they've been in, those that bought the car and never came back, those that bought the car came back once. They also know all the dealers in our what they call the primary market area. So they hold us blackmail by, if you want to use our database and our information on your customers, then you have to use our mail service. I don't like it, but our hands are tied.
Right. Yet another reason why I don't know that trusting the manufacturers to do a better job is a good idea, because I don't think they will. I think they'll continue to hoodwink us if they can.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Anyhow, thanks very much. I enjoy the show.
Thank you, Bobby.
Bobby, great call. You brought a lot to our attention, and please give us a call again, 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget www.youranonymousfeedback.com. And again, ladies, please give us a call. You can win yourself $50 first 2 new lady callers. Boy, the time has really passed by quickly this morning.
I know. Maybe
got a YouTube over here.
Frank Hall is asking, retail prices of used cars have been crazy this year. Have you seen them starting to drop yet?
Yes, they're dropping and fairly quickly. It's a great question, and it prompts me for another point I wanted to make. There was an article in the Detroit Free Press recently, the USA Today yesterday, reminding you, if you're leasing a car, to please consider the fact that the market value of your car might be higher than the residual option to buy. The odds against that happening are high. It probably won't be, but they give a great example of one of these big, expensive GMC Yukon that was actually worth far more than the residual value, and a lessee was able to get out of a lease. This happened to be the wife of swapalease.com, which is a company that will find someone to take over your lease for you. But anyway, she was able to get out of her Yukon and actually pay off the remaining value of the lease and come out $2,000 ahead. So if you have an expensive SUV, luxury truck kind of a thing, it's worth a look to be sure that you might be able to buy the car on the option, flip it, as we say, and actually make a profit on it. You don't have to keep the car, but you can exercise the right, sell it back to the dealer that you leased the car from.
It's really a great article, and there may be more, there may be some hidden cash parked right in your driveway. So take a look at that article. It's in the USA Today, and it's in the weekend edition. I think that Stu has a whole lot
47.
of text.
No, we have to get through.
27?
47. No, I was kidding. There's a bunch, but real quick, Earl, love your woodland setting, lovely fall colors. Just be careful. I think I saw a marmot.
Oh, a marmot. Wow.
Marmot.
I saw a skink the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That skinked under a rock?
On a tree.
Okay, here's one for Rick. There's something wrong with my 2003 Camry. I know it's getting old and I've started to spend some money on repairs. Whenever I go over a bump, there's a crazy loud bang coming from the front of my car. I was hoping Rick could tell me what to expect before I take it in.
I'm going to go on a pretty good sized limb here and say 90% of the time that's going to be the strut tops. The strut, McPherson strut suspension on the Camrys, the top assembly of it with the bearings start to get loose over age, and they'll rattle and make noise when you hit a bump. They can be rather expensive going to a dealership to have it done. However, one of the really great new features that aftermarket has come up, they have an assembly where it's the entire top, spring, and strut all in one assembly.
Give me a round number. How much to go fix it?
Part-wise, I'm going to say about...
Just give me a total.
$400 total on parts, and labor, you're looking at about another $400.
Okay, so 2003. Be careful.
Yeah, very good. Okay, about 6 years ago, ABC News did an undercover investigation, just like you did, where they loosened a wire, just like you did. Several shops did the right thing and reported to the customer that it was just a loose wire. Unfortunately, several diagnosed a serious condition and charged hundreds of dollars for the repair, and that's from Bobby in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to happen, and we're going to do more of this. In a way, I feel bad because I'm doing the work the manufacturers should be doing.
Yeah.
I'm
surprised that they don't.
We're probably going to find we need to start shopping some cars that are out of warranty, because if they're in warranty, we're shopping for the manufacturers.
Yeah. Well, we weren't sure what route they were going to go. We told the shopper, we said, pay whatever they tell you to pay, we'll reimburse you.
Yeah.
All right, here's a tough one. Be honest and tell me which car maker manufactures, on the whole, the best vehicles. One answer. Don't give a politically correct answer. Which car maker?
Well, yeah, I'm a Consumer Reports guy, so I say Lexus, Honda, Toyota, Subaru.
They said one.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't say one because every manufacturer has a multitude of models and styles, and so every one is different. You can have a manufacturer that has a car that is on the do not recommend list by Consumer Reports, and they can also have a car that's the best in its class. So you just can't say a manufacturer.
They said on the whole.
On the whole would be.
I'm helping the anonymous.
On the whole is Lexus.
On the whole is Lexus. Very good. What kind of vehicle do you drive?
A Lexus. Well, I do. I mean,
and you're smart.
Yeah.
You read Consumer Reports.
And if I was a Chevrolet dealer, I'd still be driving a Lexus.
That's intimidating, Stu.
Okay. More anonymous feedback is: how does Arizona heat affect a hybrid battery? Same question for cold weather states.
Say that again.
How does Arizona heat affect a hybrid battery? So this person is from Arizona, and the same question for colder weather states.
I don't think there's a big difference, but you go ahead, Rick.
There's really not that big an issue on them nowadays. Cold weather actually is going to be a little more detrimental. It's going to take it a little longer for it to
warm up,
operate and warm up properly. But heat can be a big issue. That's why they have cooling fans built in, really to keep things nice and clear. One of the most important things to remember is look for the vents where the inlet is for the air for that hybrid battery.
In the back seat.
And don't block it.
That's why there are no Chevy dealers in the Sahara Desert. Next.
Okay. Hey, Earl, did you see those scumbags at Nissan Motor Acceptance Corp repossess cars they shouldn't have and then stuck the car owners with an unlawful storage fee?
No.
No.
Then the personal belongings in their car were held hostage for more fees. This is why people hate car dealers.
I can only say this: Nissan is going to hell in a handbasket. They got the CEO in jail. No, he escaped. I forgot. And they're harassing their dealers. The dealers hate them. The customers hate them. They're going broke. I just don't know how one manufacturer can do so many things wrong. Nobody likes Nissan. I mean,
yeah.
Look, we were going to buy a Nissan dealership at one point.
Yeah, they told us they were trying a new thing where they wanted to have one dealer, one owner own all the Nissan dealerships in the market.
Yeah.
How bad would it? I mean, you talk about disincentive towards competition.
Yeah.
You get a bad dealer, the entire town is screwed.
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, Earl. I wanted to comment on your volunteer advocate initiative. I've found through friends and family that most people do not want advice that might keep them from immediate gratification, that dopamine hit of buying a new car. They would rather be abused by the dealership and leave with a new car and a long tail of woe than hold back, be patient, and demand a better deal and or financing. When you attempt to give advice that might impede the immediate delivery of the vehicle, the new used car buyer gets a little hostile and no longer receives the advice with the good intent for which it was given.
Well, it's the psychology. People, they'd rather get mad at somebody else than themselves. If you don't do your due diligence and you don't do your homework and you go out and get taken advantage of, you can scream and yell at the dealer, and they deserve it. But you deserve some of the blame for not being careful. I don't want to get in the, I think that most people do want to get a good deal. Most people do want to be educated and helped and assisted, and that's what the vigilantes are going to do. Mainly is help people. I see a vigilante. I love the picture Stu did for my blog. It's in Florida Weekly. He took that Uncle Sam and he put my face in there. And I know it's ugly, but
the stern face.
Yeah, stern face. But you're going to help people that need help. A lot of people out there do not have the wherewithal to negotiate with a car dealer. So the vigilantes will help in many ways.
Yeah, I think that our, not to brag, I think our ratings suggest that people are looking for good advice.
Yes.
Good morning, Earl. This is more anonymous feedback. Good morning. I have a question for you and Rick. I'm looking to purchase a used Corolla Hybrid 2012 to 2015 for my daughter. I know, well, they didn't make a hybrid, I think, until 2019. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but Corollas, I know the cars are solid mechanically, but I'm wondering how much a new battery would cost if the current battery goes bad. I'm talking brand new battery, not a reconditioned or used one. For a hybrid battery, I can answer that. It's around $2,000 right now for a
Yes.
new one. But you'd have to go up to a 2019 to get a hybrid Corolla.
Yeah.
Priuses or other hybrids go back many, many years.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for Rick. And this is anonymous feedback. I saw your YouTube video on the check airbag system light. My check airbag light is also coming on, but when I go to the dealership, the light goes out. Just somebody's got a remote.
And when you go to the doctor, your headache goes away too. I mean, it's just
Exactly.
Murphy's Law.
It is a kind of a funny inside joke within the dealership that these, not a joke, but it's frustrating. These intermittent problems are the hardest things to diagnose. But when I go to the dealership, the light goes out, just as what happened to the caller in your video. Do you know if he figured out the problem? You had requested that he take the car to the dealer and have them hook up a device to see what codes appear. Any idea what could be happening to my car?
Like Earl said, intermittent issues can be a real pain in the neck to find, but airbags being a safety issue, they absolutely can pull the codes and be able to figure out which circuit is having the issue. And a good mechanic would actually start in checking all the connectors, shaking them, unplugging them, and plugging them back together, and looking to find where it's got to be a loose connection. So it would have to be one of those, and by doing what's called a shake test on the wire and unplugging and plugging them back together, they should be able to find it and solve it.
Okay. Here's one that came in all caps. I think they're displeased with our endorsement of off-lease only. They said, in all caps, off-lease only buys cars that have been hit. They screwed me and lied. They buy ones that show a clean Carfax or other reports, but remember, anyone can have a car fixed if it's not done at a dealership and not report it. I had to learn the hard way, so get a second person to look it over. Earl is right. Buyer beware. Trust me.
Well, we've had Mark Fisher, who is the founder, and he's a big stockholder in the current off-lease only. He's an honest person. He means to run his business honestly. That is not to say that someone was not taking advantage of at an off-lease only outlet. So you just need to, off-lease only has a great niche in the used car market. They sell their cars as is. They sell them at a lower price than anybody else, and they're honest. They have a small dealer fee, not a big dealer fee, around $500. You need to take your car when you buy it to a mechanic, get it checked out. You need to do a Carfax report, and you can get a good price. It's kind of like the Walmart. I'm sorry. It's kind of like the Walmart of the used car dealers. You just have to be careful. You're going to get a good price, but get the car checked out first.
Okay. I want to get to one more because I know we're getting close to the time we have to start the mystery shop report. So this is anonymous feedback. Do you ever take in older insurable Toyotas and beaters as trades that could be used for teenagers to learn how to drive? Most of us don't want to subject our nice cars to teenage mishaps.
Yeah, we get requests for that car every day, and everybody wants an old beat-up car that they could give to their daughter, son, or what. There's always a good reason. The problem is safety.
Yeah.
And if you can find a good, safe car, I tell people when they call me, first of all, you're not going to be much under $5,000 or $6,000. You're not going to find anything under $1,000. And as long as you don't care about color, dented fenders, faded upholstery, stains, if you can have the ugliest car you ever saw and you don't get picky about it, it can be safe. And you can buy a super ugly car maybe for $5,000. It's safe.
Yeah, exactly. If you can get a more recent car that was beat to hell, you can save money on it. But yeah, you get the safest car that you can afford for your kid. There's so many new features right now. I made a joke about losing my car control my car in high school. That's a true story, but that was before the days of traction control, vehicle stability control. The more safety features you can get, the better.
Yeah, and definitely Consumer Report, you can always go there. The November edition has the best used cars under $10,000, ladies and gentlemen, so take advantage of that. Also, my 3 teenage girls, gosh, I could have made you a great deal back then. Really beat up cars.
Okay,
Back
we
to
got to do
Stu.
this mystery shopping report, or else we won't have time. Okay?
And ladies and gentlemen, please vote on that mystery shopping report, 772-497-6530. We are going to Johnson Honda in Stewart.
Johnson Honda, Stewart, Florida, and no, our dealership is not in Stewart, Florida. Our dealership is in North Palm Beach. I say that because there's a lot of confusion. I shouldn't have said that, but I did. Okay, for the last several weeks, our mystery shops have focused on bait and switch car dealer advertising. These investigations have taken Agent Lightning and Agent Thunder from Fort Pierce down to Delray Beach and out to Royal Palm Beach. There's no shortage of this type of scam. Even though it comes in different forms, it's fair to say that most car dealer advertising is bait and switch. All dealer advertising is bait and switch, whether it's a really low payment, too good to be true price, or hail damaged cars that draw people in. The end result is the same. The customer won't get the deal promised in the ad. The dealer will switch it to something more profitable. Bait and switch. They all do it. Bait and switch car ads have been around for a long time. I just stumbled across a YouTube video of a vintage local Miami news broadcast from 1957. We should put this on Earl and Cars.
We'll send you the link, John.
It was a classic. Ralph Rennick was a news reporter. 1957. Watching the video transformed me back in time to my senior year in high school when a car dealer ad came on. I had to laugh. It was a vintage bait and switch ad from Luby Chevrolet. I know some of you out there remember Luby Chevrolet. They were big, by the way.
Yeah.
Luby Chevrolet. The ad extorted from the customer to come in and buy a new 1957 Chevy. When the 1958 models came in just a short time later, Luby promised to take the 57 Chevrolet on trade and only charge the customer an additional $99. Ooh. Now that is what I call a bait and switch. So it's been going on forever. That's the mid-20th century, and it ain't changed, and it's not going to change.
It's insane that was half a century ago.
What's
more.
that?
It's insane that's more than
Oh,
half
yeah,
a century.
yeah.
That was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
www.ain'tgonnahappen.com.
Now, since we don't have a time machine, we can't send Agent Lightning in to shop them, but I'd be willing to bet there's a catch and the customer would be switched to a deal much more favorable to Mr. Luby. After all this focus on bait and switch, we think we have thoroughly exhausted the subject for now. We decided to try a fresh approach with a car dealer we haven't visited in 5 years. Shame on us. Johnson Honda in Stewart, Florida. They were the first Honda dealer in Stewart, and Open Point, and what a gold mine. Mm-hmm. Johnson Honda has a pretty good reputation, and they did well enough on our mystery shop from January 2016, and they were put on our recommended dealer list. The website was clean, modern, devoid of any outrageous offers or claims. The specials were the regional Honda lease offers. Everything was reasonable. Nothing seemed too good to be true. We thought Johnson Honda would be the perfect place to let Agent Lightning take control and just go in without an agenda and just let the process take place. So the only instructions we gave Agent Lightning, our female shopper, by the way, was to go to Johnson Honda, pretend to buy a new Accord, a new Honda Accord sedan. And here's the report. I'll pretend like I'm Agent Lightning. I pulled in the parking lot, parked around noon. I exited the vehicle, made my way to the front door. Dave walked outside to greet me when he saw me approach. Dave was wearing a mask. That's good. Asked me how he could help. I told him I was interested in buying a new 2020 Honda Accord. I expected him to lead me inside for the usual information gathering thing, but instead, he suggested we go explore their inventory of Accords. He led me to an area where a bunch of new Accords were parked. Dave advised me that the inventory of 2020 models was running low, and they were beginning to get the 2021s in. We landed on a black one with an MSRP $27,935. There was an addendum, Phony Monroney, sticker right next to the Monroney label, which added an appearance package for an additional $899. That's BS.
Yep.
BS. Dave asked if I'd like to take it for a spin. I said I would. He let me outside by the car while he ran away to find the key. A little humor here. I heard him repeating the stock number out loud as he walked away.
Dave, I advise just take a picture.
457B, 457B, 45.
Take a picture with your phone.
Yeah, take a picture. I wonder how many times Dave went as he came back and said, I forgot the stock number.
That used to happen.
Anyway,
That
I'm
happened to
making
me.
fun of Dave. That's not right. He was back in under 5 minutes with a key in his hand. We took the car for a test drive up and down US 1. I talked the whole time. Dave was quiet. We returned to the dealership and went inside. I observed that about half of the staff wore masks, half. And the other half were not wearing them properly or
wearing them at all.
Or not wearing them at all. Over their chins, around their necks, the most visible employee, the front desk receptionist, was not wearing a mask. Now, I'm not going to do another rant. I did one last week. Shame on Martin County. Shame on the retailers. Shame on the government. You got to make people wear a mask. They recommend you wear a mask. And as you can see, the retailers aren't making their people wear a mask. And the customers aren't wearing masks either. So you want to get COVID, go to Martin County and buy a car.
And by the way,
boy.
Johnson Honda clearly states in their advertisement that they are COVID-19. They have updates. They wear gloves. The salespeople wear gloves. They wear masks. And they have plastic on their seats if you want to take a test drive.
And you can believe that just as much as you believe
Did
their
that happen?
advertising.
Nope.
Dave led me to a seat, told me he was going to get a write-up on the Accord we just drove. He was gone for a couple of minutes before returning with what he said was his invoice. Here we go, folks, the old invoice game. It looked legitimate. It probably was. He had written plus $500 by the printed invoice price at $24,700. So they're talking about the factory invoice that Honda sends the dealer. And the biggest scam and the biggest joke and the biggest ripoff as a collusion between manufacturers and dealers is the dealer invoice. The factory invoice to the dealer is not the cost of the car. It's a tool to trick people into buying a car for more money. There's thousands of dollars of profit built in to factory invoices to the dealers, and people don't understand that. Dave said the deal was good. Now he's told me I'm going to buy it for $500 over invoice. Invoice is too much. And now he wants to sell it to me for $500, but I think invoice is his cost. So that's the sum total of the scam here. Only $500 over invoice. I asked him if this was his best deal. He said it was. I asked if I could have the invoice to take with me. Dave said he wasn't allowed to give it to me. I asked if I could take a picture. As I pulled out my phone and opened my camera, Dave then said he wasn't supposed to show me this, and he yanked it away. And before I could snap a picture, you can't make this stuff up. Right then, the sales manager, Lewis, came over. In his hand, he had a sales worksheet. It was almost as if he was listening to my conversation with Dave. He was probably looking around the corner, and I assure you he was listening. The document showed an itemized breakdown of my costs. The market value selling price was the MSRP, $27,935. There was a discount of $2,735, which made my adjusted selling price $25,200. There was a $799 dock fee, so we've got a $899 appearance package and a $799 dock fee added, sales tax and.
It doesn't look like they added the appearance package on that worksheet though.
Oh, they didn't. Okay, that's good. They just had it on the window, forgot about it. That's good. $799 dock fee and $301 in non-tax fees. My out-the-door price was $27,917. Remember that number, $27,917. I asked Lewis if he had any room in the deal to come down on price. He didn't answer, but he said if I were to shop around and say Ed Morse or Bremen Honda, they might tell me a better price. But once I was in finance, I would be surprised by upcharges and hidden fees. Now he sounds like us on our own cars. You can count on it at Ed Morse and Bremen. They're going to charge some hidden fees. We don't know what they're going to do at Johnson because we haven't been in the finance department. But I don't know that they don't do the same thing, but I don't know that they do. So there you are. Lewis reiterated that this was a great deal, and if I truly found a legitimately better price, he'd tell me to buy it. That's a good line. Good line to use. That's a standoff there. I dare you to get a better price, and if you can find a better price, you should buy the car. I mean that's what I do. That's what my dealership does. So the question is, can they find a better price? Dave jumped in to say he was making only a $150 commission, and the dealership wasn't making much more than that. Okay, here they call that puffery. Sue likes that. He always laughs when I say puffery.
I don't know why.
But it's okay to do a little puffing, but you don't want to do a lot of lying.
Right.
I mean, there's a fine line between puffing and lying, and I'm not sure that Dave hasn't crossed that line. He said they weren't making anything on the deal. That's nonsense. Well, we know it's nonsense because we haven't finished the report yet.
It's rubbish.
We'll prove it's nonsense. Yeah. I said I needed to think about it, and both men expressed understanding and didn't try to pressure me. That's good to buy now, not like Treasure Coast Toyota last week. I thanked them for the time, and Dave walked me out. Dave apologized for not letting me take a picture of the invoice. He said he would have gotten in trouble if he allowed it. I forgave him. He asked me to let me know when I made a decision. I said I would. You got to ask yourself why, if you offer to sell somebody something at $500 over invoice, and you show them the invoice. Here's the invoice, but they won't let you see it, or hold it, or take a picture of it. You have to ask, why won't? If my price is $500 over that invoice price, why won't they let me have a copy of it? I don't understand that. Anyway, there's something to ponder. Here's the summary. Dave and Lewis were nice. They didn't pressure Agent Lasting, but they did make some bold statements about how good a deal they presented. They tried to convince her that the price was so good other Honda dealers couldn't beat it. They also said they weren't making anything on the deal, and that's nonsense. Keeping them honest, we checked TrueCar. The best price for the identical Accord was from Ed Moore's Honda under TrueCar. Their out-the-door price after all taxes and fees, bogus and otherwise, was $26,099, $1,818 lower than Johnson Honda. Now, I have to ask too, I should have asked it before I went over the report. TrueCar is a minimum advertised price. Honda does minimum advertised price. How did you get the price from TrueCar on that?
The way TrueCar works right now, you build the car, you put the equipment, and then it'll say, get your TrueCar price, and then a screen comes up and says, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get information from the dealers. At this point, it's a one-on-one communication with the dealer. So that at that point, and it happens instantaneously, once you submit it, they get your personal information, then it becomes they don't list it on the TrueCar site. You get
Okay, I got you.
you receive it in an email from the dealer.
Now I understand. You told me that before, but I forgot.
So I got an email from
So
Ed Moore's Honda.
that's a legitimate TrueCar price that you could buy it at Ed Moore's Honda. That same vehicle for $1,818 lower than the Johnson price. Now, remember, the Johnson Honda price was $500 below invoice.
Over
invoice. $500 over invoice, and $500 over invoice, they're selling you the car at $1,818 more than Ed Moore's Honda. So that shows you how much profit is packed into the invoice. And there we have it. We got to vote. We vote on the curve. We have Johnson Honda now on the approved vendor list, approved Honda dealer list, and we have to decide if we want to keep them there. Are they doing things that are worse than the competition? Or should they be considered passing on the curve?
You know, after last week's shop at Treasure Coast, it's hard. It's very hard to grade because that was so bad. This is an A+, but in reality, I'm going to give 2 grades. I'm going to fail them just on the killing with a smile. So she liked them. They're so friendly and so nice, but they were dishonest. But if I'm grading on a curve, I'm going to give them a C-.
Rick?
I've got Mark from St. Louis with a D+, Tom with a D-, Derek with a D, Kit Kat D, Mark Ryan with a D, and I'm actually going to go with a C myself.
Yeah.
Because
like that.
I think they did all right.
Yeah. Nancy?
I'm sorry, guys. Do the dealers have to continuously question the intelligence of consumers? It's so humiliating. Who out there doesn't know that these dealers make an obscene amount of money, especially this one, on a car deal? I give them an F. And put your masks on, guys. You say that you have masks, you've got rubber gloves, you've got disinfectant, you've got your seats are lined with plastic. If you take a test drive, I give them an F.
Okay. We have some more coming in. A D plus from Robert on Facebook, a D from Martha on Facebook, and a C minus from Mark on Facebook.
I'm going to go with a C plus. I always get carried away when I read it, and then I come back to the surface, and I realize that this is a curved system. Johnson Honda is so much more honest than most other dealers.
Yeah.
They went for the jugular. They went for the big gross. They went for the big profit. And we sent Agent Lightning in. I just say I want to go in and buy a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
If our mystery shopper had done due diligence and shopped Raymond Honda and gone in there, they would have got a really good price from. If you don't shop around, you're going to get slam dunked. That's
and another reason also is Agent Lightning went in there and she had a good experience. I mean, there wasn't a pressure. There wasn't. She didn't feel in fear of her life. Well, maybe she did with the COVID thing, but she didn't feel like she was being attacked, and the overall experience was positive.
And let me say one more thing about this invoice thing. The invoice thing, there's a rule. There was a text on this. The manufacturers come out and made Honda and Toyota and a number of other manufacturers, and they have dictated to the dealers what the minimum advertised price can be. And the minimum advertised price they chose, all these different manufacturers, coincidentally, was invoice. The invoice has got thousands of dollars of profit packed in, and so what they're doing is they're setting the price. To me, it's price fixing. The manufacturers are fixing an artificially high price by saying you can't advertise below that. And the invoice is a trick by the manufacturer in collusion with the dealer to make the consumer pay more money. Rick?
I've also got Donovan with a C, Mav with a D minus, Michelle with an F for no mask, and I've got Matt with a C minus, Guy with a C minus, and Kit Kat says Earl is getting soft.
Well,
So
I could be a hardcore kind of a grader, and you would look at the recommended list, and they would say, go to Georgia, or go to Maine. We don't have any dealers down here, so we have to have some kind of.
Well, I think with your honesty, you're keeping the dealers honest. And I guess I was banned from the club. I gave them an F, and all you guys, because it's.
If you want to buy a Honda and you don't send them to Johnson, are you going to send them to Bremen? Are you going to send them to Ed Morris? Where are you going to send them?
Knowledge is power. Do your homework.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. I think that wraps it up, and we are ready to sign off. Another wonderful Saturday with you. Have a safe Saturday. Keep your mask on, and we'll see you back here.
Don't buy a
next
car
week.
in Martin County.